everyone, and welcome to Caroline's Craft Tree. Today I just wanted to show you some tea dyeing I did. I used the technique that they showed in a video by Ideastimestwo, and it worked out so good. I am so pleased with how they turned out. I just wanted to show you some of the playing I did. I used some alcohol inks, I used shimmer mist, I used some distress stain, and I just want to show you how they turned out in different types, and might give you some ideas and it might help you out. But I'll link the video below that I watched. So the first ones are just tea dyed, and they turned out so good. Some doilies turned out way better than others. I had, I think, about 5 different types of doilies. And this doily here, this pattern, was very open, and they turned out the best, I think. Not all of them. Some of them are far from perfect, but even the ones that are not perfect turned out really good. I should show you the stack. I've got this many here. This is about 1/3 of the papers I did. And at some point, I probably will list some of these on Etsy. I'm just not selling any physical items because of the whole virus thing. So, this one here, it turned out okay, but not as good as the other doily. This was a stencil that I had, and I really like how it turned out, except where all the plastic is on the stencil. It made a cool, weird pattern, but here's the stencil again, but it doesn't quite fill up the whole paper. So if it was a bigger stencil, it would work really, really good. This doily, sort of nice, but I found that all of the ones I did with this doily, I got like marks. And to me, that's perfectly fine. I don't mind. Here's a different one, which it was very fine, and they turned out okay. So, just wanted to show you a few. Now we're getting into the ones where I use something different. So on this one I used a denim blue fabric dye. I diluted it quite a bit, and you can see the hints of blue. Kind of got shadows happening now, but I wanted to leave the window open for so I could get the good light, but this way you get to see it in the sunlight and out of the sunlight. So you get a nice bluish, grayish tinge there for those. So I liked how those turned out. And these ones are the same, blue, but they turned out a lot more grayer. So the nice thing about doing this is none of them are exactly the same, which is really, really nice. And sometimes you got this really dark tea dyeing effect. So then we have this one. This one is done with a green fabric dye, diluted a fair bit. Okay, so I closed the blind a little bit, so hopefully you still get the good light. So this is the green fabric dye, and I really like this one, and you can see the different tones in the dyes and whatnot. So they turned out really, really nice. This one was done with some Easter egg dye, but it's the dye that they use for dyeing Ukrainian eggs. So I guess technically it's not Easter egg dye, but it was a pink, and this is really, really diluted because I find that dye is like really strong. So you get a really nice pink. And all that I did was I sprayed the color on. I dipped my paper in the tea. I put it on my table, put the doily on top, And then instead of brushing it with tea, I just sprayed it with the different dyes, shimmer mist, etc. So some I did brush on after, and I will show and tell which ones I did that to. This one had quite a bit of pink in it, but they turned out so nice. Okay, and then this one, I used a turquoise fabric dye, and these are just the RIT dyes. I don't have the exact colors because most of them, I'm at the end of them, and I had mixed a bunch up and I had it in a jar, so I don't really know what they were. I really like how sometimes you get this really dark shading from the tree. So, and just the shading from dark to lights and stuff just are so nice. And some I sprayed a little more, some I sprayed a little less. So these were sprayed with a walnut distress stain, the Tim Holtz one. Now to me it's way, way too dark, but the distress stains would dilute so easy in water. So, like I say, these are dark, but maybe it depends on what a person wants them for. And, yeah, they kind of vary. So, like I say, they're a bit dark for my liking, but it was a good experiment. Now, this was called Blueprint Sketch Distress Stain. And again, this is a little bit bright for what I like, but they did turn out really, really good. And again, being a distress stain, you could water this down very easy. So, that. Now this one was alcohol ink. And I could only do the one color because that was all the alcohol I had. So it was about a 1/4 cup alcohol to 25 drops of ink. And this was a dark green ink. It was a Tim Holtz alcohol ink. So gives you an idea. These have lots of the darker spots from the tea dye. And all these I pretty much did the same by dipping my paper, putting it on the table, putting the doily on, and then spraying it. But these ones I really liked how subtle some of the green was on those spots. So now this was a green tattered angels, and again I don't know the colors of each of the tattered angels. It's really old. I don't know how old. I've had it for like 3 years sitting in my cupboard, and it was used then, but none of the sprays worked on them and stuff, so I put them all into little spray bottles. And yeah, I didn't mark down what they were, so I don't know if you can see the sparkle on these, but they do have that shimmer to them. And I really, really like how these turned out. So, let me see, I don't know if you can see the shimmer on where it's colored. This one you probably can because there's kind of little clumps right in all through here of the shimmer. So, and this was just the straight shimmer mist. I did dilute some of it, and we're coming up to some of those right now. So this was a red one, and I did do a post on how I could thin it down, and people gave me a few ideas. So these ones don't have a lot of shimmer, but there is a bit. But these are a bit bright for my liking, but they turned out so nice. Like, I really like the looks of them. It's just not the type of thing that I would use in my journal. So now this one is the same red. Let's get one that's... This is the same red, diluted. So, and I used the 3 parts water to 1 part of shimmer mist. It did lose some of its shimmer, but this red didn't shimmer a lot anyways, but the color turned out fabulous, I think. Even though pink is not a big color of mine that I like. But some of these are just enough to give it that little bit of color, but not enough to really pop out. So, those are those ones. Now these were a blue shimmer mist. It was quite a dark one. And this one has quite a bit of shimmer. So, and again, it's all so different. They each turned out so different. So, I like that one. Now this here, this is the same color as this, except this one I brushed with tea after I sprayed it on. So, and there was a couple which I will point out which I brushed with water on the top. I just sprayed it on, not as heavy as I did the other blue. But then I brushed it with tea, and I really like how these ones turned out. And it did lighten it up a little bit. This one was one of the ones I brushed with water, so I sprayed it a little more lightly than what I did with this batch. But then I used just one of those foam brushes, and I just brushed water on the top of it. So it made a big difference on the color. And these do have a fair bit of shimmer to it when you hold it in the different lights. So this was a turquoise tattered shimmer mist. And I really like how this turned out. My tea was starting to get old when I did these ones. And so the tea spots are a little bit darker than if you used fresh tea. So, but I really liked how these ones turned out. Now this one is a gold shimmer mist. And this has quite a bit of a shine to it. And again, I don't know how well you can see that. Hopefully it shows up a little bit. Just turn it a few. I can't really see the camera when I'm videoing, so I can't really tell, but they turned out quite nice. It just gives it a totally, this one here really shimmers. So I really like how that turned out. And even on this one, it picked up a little bit of the color from some of the other sheets, because I used the same doilies over and over again for these. So I'm on the lookout for some vintage doilies. Now these ones, I used a blue shimmer mist, and then I used the pink and the turquoise fabric dyes. And all that I did was, again, just tea dyed the papers, put the doilies on the top, and then I sprayed it with the different things. And these turned out actually pretty cool. They add a lot more color, and like all this here, blue here is all shimmering. So just something a little bit different. And I forgot to show the back, but a lot of these on the back, the colors and the design did show through a little bit. Some are a lot different than others, so on how the backs turned out. But you can see the color came through a bit on the different areas. So there is those ones. And this one is green, turquoise, the diluted red, and some gold shimmer mist. And these I brushed. after I put this stuff on, I just brushed them with some tea, and it did tame them down quite a bit. This one here turned out really good colorized, minus that corner, but hey, that's okay. I think that is totally okay. This one here turned out really, really good as well. Okay, and now this one, these are the turquoise. We have blue, green, the diluted red, shimmer mist, and I did not brush these. So you can see a bit of a difference between the ones that I brushed and the ones that I didn't brush. So just the brushing alone tames it down quite a bit. So I really, 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 really like how these ones turned out. And like 95% of the page shimmers when you look at it. So this one's a bit on the bright side, but it's still really, really nice. So here's a good spot down in here where this blue is for the shimmer. And hopefully that shows up. And this one is very colorful. But yeah, I really like these. So I thank Ideastimestwo for sharing the way she did her the tea dyeing like this. It does work really well. The hardest part is finding the doilies. And I was lucky enough to have a couple on hand, but hopefully I can find some more. And I hope you like this video, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.